Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
As I mentioned yesterday, when the Congresswoman is here, we have a lot to cover. So coming up is part 3 of my interview with her, where we talk about her accomplishments, first 6 months, and what life is like in Washington. Information is
Absolutely.
king in something like this.
And let's have a conversation about it. One of the models that I think is so effective in this district, the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages, AATV,
right, sure.
works with environmental groups to find that balance.
That's
so
balance,
they can
that's right.
ensure that they're having a conversation to make sure that the Adirondacks is friendly to businesses and families who want to invest in communities year-round and create jobs, as well as environmental conversations. So that's the model that I think we should take nationally.
You know, the other side of the coin there is the other thing that's probably most important to our future is our national defense. I know you're very involved in that. I love this House Armed Services Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Capabilities. Now that's getting pretty deep.
That is getting deep, but it's a really important subcommittee.
Sure it is.
I'm chairing it in my second term, and it's focused on looking 5, 10, 50 years down the road about what emerging threats in the national security space we need to be thinking about. One of those is cybersecurity. Businesses are having to deal with cybersecurity. We need to make sure that our DoD networks are focused on making sure that they're secure, but we also need to look at the tactics and strategies that are being used by our adversaries. This has been in the news quite a bit lately, and make sure that the U.S. is working with our allies to have a strategy when it comes to cybersecurity, make sure that we have a capable workforce and training operations. And there's some really interesting initiatives going on within the military in terms of how to combine cyber with warfare as in the 20th century with kinetic strikes. Because think about, for example, ISIS's use of social media to recruit fighters.
That's right.
We need to have a strategy to make sure that that's not impactful and that's not effective. So we're really focused on how to combat online propaganda, how to deal with some of this online recruitment from terrorist groups, to push back on this and make sure that we're able to stop it.
Well, you know what? There's no room to be reactive in this area.
Right.
You either be proactive or you're lunch.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're seeing it firsthand every day in the news regarding, a foreign power trying to influence our elections. Nobody actually knows where that's going to lead right now, but nothing could be more important, because that kind of warfare is not sending troops into the field. You know what I mean? And it does have a devastating effect. Look, one last thing I want to ask you. You and I both student politics. We love to follow politics. Your whole career is devoted to this, but I do follow it. What are the pros and cons right now in Washington working with this administration?
It's a great question, Jesse. So obviously we're in a very different political environment than we even were in my first term. So over my 2.5 years, I've seen a tectonic shift in the world of public policy. I think the outcome of this election showed that people are frustrated with the status quo. They feel disconnected from their government. And that's what I hear a lot from constituents, frankly, on both sides of the aisle in this district. Right. I think what's been challenging for me is the divisiveness, the way the national media covers the infighting and doesn't highlight important local initiatives the way that Look TV and other local outlets do in this district. I also think the rhetoric is really at a fever pitch of negativity. I try to be an example of civility and how you can disagree on issues and have an important, back and forth and debate on them, but you can do so in a civil way. I think that's unfortunately missing in today's political environment. And then, just as a member of Congress, we have 3 co-equal branches of government. Our founding fathers were very smart in how they ensured the balance of power. But what's frustrating for me, both with the last administration and with this administration, although they've only been there 6 months, is the lack of outreach to Congress. We need to be working more effectively with the administration, and they need to be reaching out to Congress more effectively. So that's what I think is the biggest change that I've experienced.
I want to cycle back on that one thing you just said. I think a lot about this, that, our founding fathers were so smart. They understood that power corrupts. They understood that no one individual has the right to determine our future. The feeling I get right now is there's not a respect for that. You know, use the word civility. That's a wonderful word to use in this context. And that, you know, with three equal branches of government, that is the check and balance that our forefathers wanted. You need to respect that. And that, you know, you got this little watchdog barking up your leg all the time called the media.
That is true.
But you want to know something? They play a very powerful role.
They do.
Unfortunately, with today's technology, you can't tell fake news from real news sometimes unless you really delve into it.
Yeah.
But boy, please keep that front and center, civility. You know, you can disagree with people, but quite honestly, it's those disagreements where you both learn. And if you both learn, then you accomplish something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on civility, it's interesting. The newly elected members, freshmen members of Congress this year, they actually signed a civility pledge, both Democrats and
no
Republicans,
kidding. Yeah.
which was really interesting that they obviously were elected in the most divisive election in my lifetime. And the fact that they came to Congress and that was one of the first things they did, I think is pretty telling, that you have elected officials who see there's a problem and are trying to solve it.
Well, it's your generation that's going to do it. And actually, I think women rule. So I think you better take over, right? Just take over. We're done. Ellise, thank you very much. Congresswoman Stefanik, thank you very much for coming in and taking the time to see us.
Thank you, Jesse.
Great to see you. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.
Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.